He has increased his violent rhetoric, Donald Trump has, about political opponents, and in great detail, suggested rifles should be trained on former Representative Liz Cheney. This must be disqualifying. Anyone who wants to be president of the United States who uses that kind of violent rhetoric is clearly disqualified and unqualified to be president. Representative Cheney is a true patriot who has shown extraordinary courage in putting country above party. Trump is increasingly, however, someone who considers his political opponents the enemy, is permanently out for revenge, and is increasingly unstable and unhinged.
Hello, folks. How are you doing today? This day right before the election. I don't know if you had been paying attention or not, but there was a jobs report that did come out earlier in this week, and it was awful. And so, because of that, the media had to create some type of story that would overshadow that jobs report. And what do you know? Trump made a statement, and the media blew it completely out of proportion. They are accusing Trump of wanting to put Liz Cheney before a firing squad. And he never actually said anything about a firing squad. He was actually making comments that I was making back in the 80s when I was in the Marine Corps. A lot of us were. So let's go listen to what Matt Walsh has to say about this latest loony attack from the left on Donald Trump.
Let's stay with Liz Cheney for another few moments, unfortunately, because we have our newest Trump hoax. It had been 36 hours since the last one, so it was about time. And today the media is hysterically claiming that Trump threatened to kill Liz Cheney. Trump threatened Liz Cheney, threatened to have her executed. That's the claim.
If you like this content and any other content like it that I might do, thank you so very much. Please hit that like button and do subscribe. It helps with the algorithm, and it does help me get the word out. Thank you all very much.
Drudge right now has the big, bold red letters at the top of the page blaring this. Trump calls for Cheney's execution. World in shock. Ex-president increases violent threats. So that's how the media is... That's how they're talking about this. Liz Cheney responded, tweeting, "This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant."
Now, Trump did absolutely none of this when he was in office for 4 years. And you could say, well, yeah, but there were people stopping him. Yeah, there's always something stopping somebody who's trying to do something like that. It's called the Constitution. Now, I had this with a conversation with a friend years ago, and it was, Trump is not the kind of guy that is going to wreck the Constitution, okay? Kamala Harris is, okay? Kamala Harris is a lawyer. Kamala Harris has studied how to work things through the cracks. She has studied how to maneuver in those gray areas of the law. This is the exact person you don't want in office, because they do know how to subvert the Constitution. They do know how to bend it to their own ends. And it has been happening, honestly, since the 50s. And if you want to study this kind of stuff, if you want to have anything, if you want me to go over this stuff or anything like that, please give me a comment. Let me say, hey, Chuck, go over this stuff, man. Let's hear what you have to say about this. I've been doing a lot of reading on this. It's interesting as all get out. But yeah, this is just, it's pen and parcel, okay? These are the people who want to stay in power, so they are going to demonize the person who might break the engine. And that's what it is. It's the money-making engine that America, unfortunately, is.
Hashtag women will not be silenced. Hashtag vote Kamala. Very brave, very bold, right? She's standing up against the tyrant. But what did Trump actually say? Well, of course, the clip is being taken out of context. But let's first play the out-of-context clip that is being circulated right now, in which Donald Trump allegedly calls for Liz Cheney's execution. Because even in the out-of-context clip, you could still tell that Drudge and the media and Liz Cheney are lying about it, even though there is more context needed. But here's the out-of-context clip.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, But his daughter's a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
So there it is. Now, as I said, I think it's already obvious, even from a carefully clipped out of context snippet, it's obvious what Trump is really saying. But let's pull back the lens. Let's widen the lens a little bit. And here's the same clip with just a few more seconds of context.
He said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, you know, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter. But his daughter's a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war.
Okay, so what is he saying? Is he saying that he wants to kill Liz Cheney? Could any honest person interpret it that way? That he wants to kill her? That he's going to have her executed? Is he calling for her assassination the way that many leftists have of Trump, even after he was actually almost assassinated? No, what he's saying is that Liz Cheney is a chicken hawk coward who happily sends young men off to go die on foreign soil somewhere while she sits in her, comfortably in her air-conditioned office in D.C. That's what he's saying, and he's absolutely right. I mean, he's not only right, but it's a point that millions of Americans have made. You know, it's the kind of thing you could hear any American citizen make if you're sitting in their living room talking about politics. It's one of the main complaints that Americans have about neocons like Liz Cheney and the elitists who are constantly starting wars and sending our troops off to go die. It's like this is a very common point that Trump is making, an important point that should be made. But this is the left yet again taking this thing that millions of people have said, and we all understand exactly what he means, and trying to convince us that we're not hearing what we're actually hearing.
So there you have it, folks. This is the latest attempt at the left to misconstrue, what Trump is saying in order to gin up opposition to him right before an election. They have absolutely nothing else. They've got nothing else to attack Trump on. His policies worked. His policies of energy independent worked. His policies of protecting American trade actually worked. More money was going into the pockets of everyday Americans than was going into the top 5%, and that's one of the reasons why they wanted Trump gone, and this is one of the main reasons why the opposition to Trump is so strong. Trump is against wars, and honestly, if you know anything about the Cheneys, you know they just love war. Because Halliburton, which Cheney ran at one point in time and owns a lot of stock in, they only exist to basically supply war. They're the biggest company in the world. They're the only company in the world that can actually do what they do. And it's a complete and utter monopoly. So yeah, they love war. Okay, they love sending people over there because they have to supply those people with food and clothing and equipment. And then they have to fix those people with medical equipment and things like that. It's absolutely and utterly insane. And this is what Dwight D. Eisenhower, when he stepped down from the presidency, this is what he warned against with the military-industrial complex. It is the unholy union between politics and the military. You have no idea how much money gets dumped into military development. And I mean, even things like with NASA, okay, they will say, okay, we're going to do this, and they want to have a certain type of substance or anything like a substance or some type of mechanism that's going to allow them to get to this place in space and do this and that. And they will spend billions upon billions of dollars to create these things. And it will take decades and decades. And even when there are things that are brought up that can actually take the place of those things and are cheaper and will still work just as well, they will squash it completely just so they can keep dumping money into development. It is absolutely and utterly insane, and you can tell why the military industrial complex, if that's what you want to call it, is completely and utterly against Trump. And this is why the attacks, and this is why the attacks from the Cheneys, and this is why the attacks from the media. The media loves war. I mean, when you have wars, there's a lot of reporting that goes on with that. So when it comes right down to it, yeah, Trump is facing a lot of opposition, and this is just the latest in what the media will do to lie in order to stop you from voting for Trump, which honestly, as far as I'm concerned, I am voting for Trump. Mr. Walsh has said that he is voting for Trump. You vote no matter how you want to, okay? I mean, honestly, throw the comments out if you want to about how you voted and why. That's great. We can have a conversation about that. I just want you to vote, okay? That's all I want you to do. Please go out and vote, everybody. Thank you all very much for joining me today. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. Comment, guys. Let's get a conversation about voting. There's some places around here who said that voting doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I think they're crazy. What do you think, guys? Thank you all very much. Let me know. Later.